Hey guys, so I thought I would do this. This would make up. I thought this would make an interesting video, and that is stuff to bring with you while exploring. Now, I'm gonna cover all aspects. So I'm probably just going for like a long walk and everything, like in the Peak District or something like that. This is just stuff like not necessarily what to wear because that's kind of obvious what to wear. It's more stuff what like things you should bring. So the first one is a phone, preferably a phone with credit on it to call in case of an emergency. Obviously, this is not 100% proof just because you could be somewhere where you can't get no signal or whatever, but it's still useful to have. Especially if you're exploring in anything that's derelict. Usually the rule is technically you shouldn't do it on your own. I say technically because I just do it on my own, but technically you shouldn't. As I said, just in case something happens, like you twist your leg or twist your ankle. I don't think you can actually twist your. Can you twist your leg? And okay, I'm not gonna stop it, but in case an accident does occur and you need to call somebody or even emergency services, important to have your phone. I don't think you don't actually need a connection anyway or any credit anyway to call emergency services. You can just call them. So in case you need to do that. But yeah, as I said, it is advisable not to go to places like that on your own just because of them sort of reasons. Another thing is a torch. Now, obviously, this depends if you're planning on going hiking, I don't know, at night or you're going in a dark place. I recommend a torch, especially if you don't have a phone that has a flashlight. I think all modern phones now have flashlights on them. I do find that a torch is going to be stronger than the flash on your phone. So if you go into exploring in really dark places, I'd find the torch is more powerful than a flashlight. But if you don't have a torch, then you can just use your flashlight on your phone. At least there's something. Another thing is a battery pack or whatever. A battery. What's the other word for it? I want to say phone bank. I don't think it is phone bank, but you know what I mean. A battery pack for your phone. You get what I mean. You can get them anywhere, like even supermarkets sell them. I have two. Um, one I got, I think, from Avon, and then another one I use more often just because that one uses a different charger. Anyway, you can get them at HMV, you can get them anywhere basically in supermarkets. Obviously, that is in turn is to make sure you have something to be able to contact people with. But if it's run out of battery, then it's kind of useless. So that's why I'm chucking in a power bank. Another thing which is kind of optional, because the weather can change completely differently. Sometimes it's correct, sometimes it's not. But that's to chuck in like a waterproof because obviously you're not really gonna use a brolly because it's not really practical. Obviously, this is depending on where you're going, but most of the time with adventures and stuff, it's not practical to carry a brolly, especially if it's windy anyway. So it's good to ideally to pack a waterproof. Um, Sometimes if you know it's gonna rain, you could just wear one. If it's not easily be able to fold it up in your bag or anything like that. But yeah, that's the top tip, just not to get wet. Again, the next thing is depending on weather and stuff, you might need spare clothes. That's if you're exploring and it's raining and or you're going to a spot which is heavily muddy, you might fall over. Well, I'm clumsy for falling over anyway. But just extra clothes. As I said, it's not for every adventure you go to. It just depends obviously on the climate and where it is, if it's really muddy, or even another pair of shoes as well. Or as well, especially if you're not if you didn't get the especially if you had to walk to get there, you didn't really get a car to get there, or even if you got public transport, you might not want to kind of walk back home in your muddy shoes, depending on how muddy they are, or get on public transport with how muddy your shoes are. Obviously, that's different compared because of COVID and stuff when it comes to public transport. You get what I mean? Another thing is a bottle of water. I wasn't going to mention this because it's kind of obvious, but I'm going to mention it anyway because you could be on a journey and you think, I don't need no bottle of water. I only go for like 2 hours, but you end up getting lost and 2 hours turns into 5 hours or 6 hours. You know what I mean? Just make sure you got something hydrated with you. But yeah, that's about it. Obviously, the obvious one is to bring a backpack. If you need to bring a bag, bring a backpack, not a handbag, for obvious reasons. It's just easier. But yeah, and then obviously with the right shoes and clothing and everything. I don't need to mention that because it's rocket science. You've clicked on this video, you already know the basics. You just want to know some like tips and things to actually bring with you, which you may find helpful. But yeah, that is it for this video. So bye guys.